Hello and welcome to the Coors Event Center for 5280 Sports Network. I am Matt Smith. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, tonight Colorado snaps a 2-game losing streak and dominates the Stanford Cardinal 91-72. Doing so, Colorado moves to 17-13 on the season, 7-10 overall, and currently sit tied for 7th in the Pac-12 Conference with Arizona State. Now, Arizona State only has one game remaining on their regular season schedule, and that is home to Arizona. So assuming that's a loss, Colorado sits in a pretty good position here to finish around 7 or 8, definitely no lower than 9. But tonight the Buffaloes did it, and it wasn't one guy, it wasn't two guys, it was a complete team effort tonight. Very impressive stuff. Now, this week in practice, I have to say, was one of the more poor weeks in practice that I have seen in quite some time, and they didn't show any signs of it tonight. 25 assists to 6 turnovers. The Buffaloes shared the ball, but more than that, they moved off the ball, allowing teammates to be able to find them with open passes. Not only that, a ton of post touches set up really an effort where Colorado was able to spread the floor, and in doing so, shot very well from behind the three-point line. 11 of 23 for the Buffs tonight, 47%, actually 56% overall from the field for Colorado. Very impressive assist-to-turnover ratio. The defense in the first half lacked just a little bit. Colorado trading baskets with Stanford. Tad Boyle in the postgame actually saying that he felt like this was probably one of the one or two best offensive performances this team's had all season long, and certainly from a team effort, it definitely was. Colorado was dynamic tonight. They not only scored from the inside, they had 38 points in the paint, but they did a really good job knocking down open shots, and that was the key. When you get the ball moved, you move hard off the ball, moving with a purpose, I should say, cutting to score. The floor opens up dramatically, and when you have a guy like Derek White, who once again tonight was really good, it wasn't in the scoring column, finishes with 9 points and 8 assists. An impressive effort from Colorado. Like I said, in the first half, the defense really wasn't up to par, but they picked things up in the second half, especially a 9-2 run to open things in the second half, and that actually forced a timeout from Stanford, just 2 minutes having gone by in the second half. Colorado would continue to roll from there on, going on a 39-19 run for the first 12 minutes of the second half. 12 assists on 16 of 18 from the floor. The Buffaloes couldn't be stopped. Stanford could not get defensive stops, and the Buffaloes would roll from there on out. Colorado stretched the lead to just over 20, I think 23, but would end up winning by 19. It was an impressive performance from the Buffaloes tonight, who I think some of the Colorado fans had written off. Certainly this is a team that if they play the way they did tonight can make some noise in Vegas. It's going to be a tough second round matchup, assuming they get there. Of course, no Colorado team in Tad Boyle's tenure, and no Colorado team since joining the Pac-12 Conference has lost on the first day of the Pac-12 tournament. Definitely something to keep in mind there. The bad from this game, not a ton. Colorado didn't do a great job on the boards tonight, only out-rebounded Stanford by 1 and allowed 10 offensive rebounds, I should say, in the second half to the Cardinal. Xavier Johnson, I thought, as a rebounding note while we're on the topic, really with a great effort tonight rebounding. We'll get to more of him in a minute. And the other bad thing, I thought, like I said, defense with such a good game plan. The coaches really had these guys prepared for this one. They knew all about Reed Travis and what Stanford liked to do with him. And again, Marcus Allen, the book said, don't let him drive and let him shoot. He was 1 for 6 from 3 and was actually able to get inside, but a very good game plan from the Colorado coaching staff on this one, and just not great execution of that defensive game plan, but certainly in the second half, the Buffs ratcheted it up, and it was impressive to see that what they had learned in practice could finally carry over, because I feel like we've been waiting for it for so long, and at this point in time, with just one more game now left in the regular season and 2 games heading into this one, that it was getting to that point where would we ever see it? And we really did tonight. It was an impressive performance from 1 through 8, really. Colorado's bench was fantastic tonight, 42 points, and the good in this game, like we said, ball movement, off-ball movement was great, assist-to-turnover ratio, they had 6 in double figures, really a great sign of sharing the basketball. But what I think is important to note in this one is I had been questioning throughout the better part of this season what the Colorado basketball team next year would look like. I think that it's been a topic of conversation certainly for fans, since the Buffaloes are most likely not going to make the NCAA tournament this year. But it's been a topic of conversation for fans because they want to see this team continue on an upward arc, and they certainly kind of dipped down a little bit this year as compared to expectations, really. So Torrey Miller, Lucas Seward, who essentially are the future of the Buffs front court. Of course, they have Evan Batty coming in next year, but those two are really coming along. Torrey has become extremely dependable in the post, and Lucas Seward, who started this season in really rough fashion. Actually, by the time conference play started, we were wondering potentially maybe would we see him get a red shirt next year. But he has really picked up his play. Tonight he was 4 of 5 from the three-point arc, 15 points for Lucas, and he was knocking down open shots, which is extremely important. With him in there, that's the whole reason that Tad was so enamored with him in the first place, is he's that true stretch four who can really spread the floor, and he did it tonight, knocking down open threes and promoting good ball movement. A lot of that, actually, Wesley Gordon, 5 assists himself. The Buffaloes just shared the basketball, but they were getting to their spots, getting open looks, taking good shots on the whole. It was a good night overall for Colorado basketball. Wesley and XJ, the two guys that have been here for 5 years, the two guys who got suspensions on that Bay Area road trip, would we see them step up and really try and leave their mark here? Xavier Johnson rebounded the ball to bring back the earlier point extremely well tonight. I really liked his effort. He had 15 points. He wasn't really hunting his shot. I felt like he was getting good shots within the flow of the offense while still being the initiator, being the aggressor. Wesley Gordon tonight, 4 of 4 from the field, double digits. I believe the second game in a row for Wes, now in double digits. That was huge. His play tonight was enormous and a huge key to why Colorado was able to move the ball so well on the offensive end. He's a great passer. For 6'9", he's a very good passer, and when guys move off the ball, Wes is always looking. So if you make it there, make it to your spot, get yourself in a position where you can do something with the basketball, he'll find you. Certainly Derek White will too, and like I mentioned earlier, Derek didn't do it with his scoring tonight, but his leadership and his facilitation. I made a comment on Twitter during the game that it's the simple plays that seem so advanced because you just don't see it every day. And Tad Boyle said, man, he wishes Derek White wasn't graduating in that post-game press conference, because that's the type of guy as a coach that you dream of having on the floor. Somebody who you know is going to give you 100%, who's extremely talented on top of it, but is a very good leader and can lead by example. I think we saw that again tonight, and certainly for Derek and XJ and Wes, Josh Fortune, of course. This game coming up on Saturday against Cal is a big one for this Colorado basketball team to see if they can't solidify themselves with a little bit of momentum heading into the Pac-12 tournament in Vegas next week, starting on Wednesday, March 8th. Of course, Senior Day on Saturday against Cal is at noon. It's a noon tip-off, early one, so you can have a little bit of the rest of your day after that one wraps up. But it should be a good one. That's a team that Colorado has struggled against perennially in Cal. I think that's a game that they would like to have back. Certainly Wesley and Xavier Johnson not being in that game when they played in Berkeley the first time, I know hurts these guys, and I know they want to go get Cal back because they almost came back down 20 at the end of the first half and really made some noise in that second half on the road at Haas Pavilion. I think we're going to see more of that on Saturday. I think this Buffs team is going to come out motivated. Of course, it's Senior Day, and this team is a veteran-laden team, but I think that they're starting to see if they play extremely unselfishly and are able to get stops down the stretch rather than just trade baskets like they did in that first half, then they can be a formidable force in the Pac-12 tournament next week. And if you're looking ahead now to postseason play, obviously the only way the Buffs are going to make the NCAA tournament is winning the Pac-12 tournament, which would seem very challenging. The NIT, though, that would seem to be in play, but you can't lose on Saturday. You have to win on Saturday and at least win your first game in Vegas to really give yourselves an argument, in my opinion, to get into the NIT. So big games coming up here for Colorado basketball on senior night on Saturday. I hope you are able to show up and support your own Buffs. I am Matt Smith for 5280 Sports Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go online and follow all of our exclusive coverage on 5280sportsnetwork.com. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at RealMattSmith. That's Matt with one T. And you can find all of our content on Twitter as well at 5280 Sportsnet. Until next time, thank you for joining us.